Sinking driveway, settling patio, collapsing stoop, uneven pool deck. It's a fact. Concrete problems don't get better with time, but they do get better when you call APS.
This is the afternoon edition of the Daily Weather Briefing video. This is for Monday, the 26th of September. I'm James Spann. We are watching Ian. We have a lot of questions. We'll see if we can provide some answers. We can't answer everything at this stage of the game, but at least Alabama's weather at the moment pretty quiet. Let's go right to the upper air look across the country. And we've got a high amplitude pattern, ridge in the west, trough in the east. That's pushing a dry cold front through Alabama today. There's nothing on radar with that. But it's going to feel different tomorrow. We're going to see many places in the 40s early tomorrow morning. You can begin to see the change north of Birmingham. We have 70s for Cullman and Aniana and Haleyville. From Birmingham south, we have low 80s. In fact, if you go down to South Alabama, we actually have 90 at Dothan. But that cool air will affect everybody tomorrow. It's going to be a different kind of day. But let's focus on Ian. Here's a look at our watch warning map. We have a hurricane watch for the west coast of Florida. That would include Tampa Bay and points south. That will probably be expanded a bit northward on the next package coming from the National Hurricane Center. That will be out here in about 1 hour, doing this live update about 3 o'clock. And really, that's about it. Other than Ian and the Florida Peninsula, things are quiet across the country. We have a marginal risk of a few tornadoes over the Florida Keys tonight as Ian approaches. And then tomorrow, a risk of a few isolated tornadoes over parts of central and south Florida, mainly south of Interstate 4, the peninsula, not the panhandle. And then Wednesday, day 3, again, a risk of severe storms over the peninsula. And that would be mainly with a chance of isolated tornadoes in the spiral bands on the east side of Ian. And one of the big issues is going to be rain. This thing is going to slow down, and it's going to drop a tremendous amount of rain over the Florida Peninsula. We could easily see 10 to 20 inches of rain with this thing slowing down Wednesday night, Thursday, just spinning around, kind of like a Danny in 1997 that came into Alabama. Dauphin Island had 3 feet of rain with that. And so Orlando, Tampa Bay, even Jacksonville, Daytona Beach over on the Atlantic side, they're going to just see tremendous amounts of rain from Ian. And in Alabama, you can see the amounts there go from basically nothing to the Mississippi border to about 1 inch for the eastern side of the state. There's a lot of questions about how much rain Alabama gets, especially that eastern side of the state Friday night and Saturday. We'll take a look at modeling on that in just a second. But here's the big tropical picture. And really, other than Ian, there's one other system on the board, a little feature out in the middle of the Atlantic that's got a high chance of becoming a depression or storm. But this is going to be one of those junk systems that doesn't last long. It'll be out there for a few days and probably be torn up by strong upper air winds. So Ian is really the one system to watch. Here's the infrared satellite presentation, getting better organized by the minute. And again, we're expecting rapid intensification over the next 24 hours. The winds have increased up to 85 miles an hour. The center is about 100 miles or so west-northwest of Grand Cayman, about 200 miles southeast of the western tip of Cuba in the Caribbean. And the latest track in the house here from the National Hurricane Center is this. This was issued at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, 1 Central. And you can see it comes across the tip of Cuba as a major hurricane early tomorrow morning. And then from there, it stays a major hurricane. And by that, the definition is Category 3 or higher. And you can see it stays a major hurricane to a point southwest of Tampa. Then it starts to weaken by Wednesday night and Thursday as strong southwest winds aloft disrupt the core, shearing. And it should be a Category 1 at the time of landfall. But the big problem here, this thing's just not going to move much. It's going to be in no hurry to move. And for a long time, you're going to have strong winds, torrential, driving, tropical rain for Tampa Bay, Bradenton, Sarasota, really down toward Fort Myers and inland over to Orlando and ultimately Daytona and Jacksonville. It's going to be a very slow process, and then the current track has the system as a depression to the east of Macon Saturday morning. And the question is, will it be maybe a little farther west than that, maybe affecting Alabama a little more in terms of rain? We'll take a look at modeling in just a second. Here's the tropical models, and they're in pretty good agreement. They keep this on a track coming up through eastern Georgia, then bending out across the Carolinas, and then dissipating there. But if you're going down to places like Gulf Shores and Destin, Panama City, I would not hesitate to go. These cities on the central Gulf Coast are on the dry west side of the circulation, a north flow, offshore flow. I wouldn't hesitate to go, but remember, people go to the beach for different reasons. The big problem you're going to have there, it's double red flags. We're going to have a very high rip current danger for the central Gulf Coast, Gulf Shores, Pensacola, Destin, Fort Walton Beach, Mexico Beach, Panama City, Wednesday through Friday. So the waters will basically be closed. So if you're going for the sole reason of swimming in the ocean, it'll be a bummer and not a good situation. But most people go down there just to go to the beach, and breathe a little bit and get a little bit of time off. And will it rain some? Yes, especially from maybe Destin on east to Panama City. Will it be a little breezy? Yes, but nothing like the impact over the peninsula east. Again, the central Gulf Coast is going to be on the good west side, offshore flow. Here's a look at the intensity guidance on Ian, and again, you can see that the models begin to weaken the system by Wednesday night and Thursday with the shearing on top of that. And confidence is pretty high that this will happen, but we sometimes you're hesitant to use the word weaken here because that can be misleading. People think, oh, it's just going to be a 1, but the wind field will likely be expanding, and it's just not going to move. In a Category 1 sitting on top of you for 24 hours, that's not a good situation. So let's go through modeling here. This is the GFS, the 12Z run, valid tomorrow at 4. And again, you can see the troughing to the north and east of here, and Ian is in the southeastern Gulf of Mexico. This is Wednesday. And then Thursday, you can see that the GFS has Ian just west-southwest of Tampa Bay. And really, it's just not in a hurry to move at all. It's just not. And then finally, it begins to lift out of there by Friday. Let's go to the European. This is Friday afternoon at 1. And again, this is just deterministic output, and it's not going to look exactly like this, but it will give you an idea of what it might look like in terms of the rain shield. So Friday at 1, we've got the tropical system over the Florida Big Bend weakening at that point, maybe a tropical storm, but the rain shield kind of pushes up into southeast Alabama. So we got high school football games Friday night. So the greatest chance of rain Friday night will be over east and southeast Alabama. Dothan, Eufaula, Tuskegee, up really toward Roanoke and Wedowee and maybe Anniston, places like that. And then Saturday, the European wants to jog that thing a little to the northwest, and it's got the remnant low near the Alabama-Georgia border. And really, it's suggesting a chance of rain over about the northern two-thirds of the state on Saturday. And this might not happen. It could be the rain is confined to the eastern part of the state, but a lot of things are happening on Saturday. We have Auburn football. Auburn's hosting LSU. That's a big game. We've got race weekend at Talladega. And rain is a definite possibility for both of those events, the Auburn football game and the races at Talladega on Saturday. And it will be a little breezy, but again, this is just a weak low at this point, kind of breezy, rainy type Saturday if this happens to verify. Any tornado threat would be well to the east of here. And then by Sunday, everything begins to lift out. And I really think Sunday's going to be fine. Now, I know you see some green here, but we'll call it partly to mostly sunny. The high Sunday, upper 70s. So I think for the big race at Talladega on Sunday, things should be okay. So real quick, we'll check the rain for Birmingham. This is coming off the GFS ensemble. There's a big spread because of the uncertainty. Again, it's the rain will be heaviest most likely on the eastern side of the state. And again, I think this is a better way of looking at it. Again, you can see from WPC, the eastern counties may be getting an inch. The western counties barely enough to measure Friday night and Saturday. But again, once we get a little bit of clarity on what Ian is going to do inland, we'll have better confidence on that rain forecast. But temperatures look good. I mean, goodness, this is the national blend of models for Birmingham. Highs in the 70s, lows in the 50s, and many places are going to be in the 40s over North Alabama. We're going to see some 40s tomorrow morning. It'll be the coolest night so far this season tonight. And the latest guidance coming in from from the CPC. This is the 8 to 14-day outlook for October 4th through October 10th. Temperatures may be a little above average. So one more time, if you're just joining us, there's a look at the Ian, the hurricane. Top winds 85 miles an hour. Rapid strengthening expected over the next 24 hours coming up on the western tip of Cuba. And the main impact will be across the Florida peninsula. Along and east of that center line, with tremendous amounts of rain, storm surge flooding, the chance of a few isolated tornadoes. So everybody in the peninsula, Tampa Bay, St. Pete, Orlando, even over to the Atlantic coast side, down to Daytona Beach, Jacksonville, and then on the West Coast side down to Fort Myers. You just need to be aware it's going to be a rough ride here this week. And again, we'll get the new track from the Hurricane Center in less than 1 hour coming up at 4 o'clock. So again, this could change a little bit, but I don't expect any major changes in this on the new package, and that we're getting pretty locked in. The main question is, what does it do once it gets inland? Will it keep going northeast or maybe try and drift a little back to the west? And we'll get better clarity on that pretty soon. So thank you guys for watching. For those new here, we do these updates typically twice a day. Once about 5:15 a.m., once about 2:30 p.m., and we'll have notes over on our blog. That is AlabamaWX.com. And we invite you to join us on ABC 3340 News this evening at 4, 5, 6, and 10 o'clock. Thanks for watching. Have a great evening, and God bless.
Sinking driveway? Call Alabama Professional Services. Settling patio? Call APS. Uneven pool deck? Call APS. Collapsing stoop? Call APS. Cracking sidewalk? That's right. Call APS. It's a fact. Concrete problems don't get better with time, but they do get better when you call APS. Call Alabama Professional Services today.